And we are live. You are here with Jason Weiss on the Ask Jason Weiss show. Good morning, good evening, good day, good everything. And before we get started and get into the really fun stuff, I got to put the disclaimer out there that even though you are on and listening and enjoying this wonderful show, and you have one current attorney who's practicing and a second attorney who is much smarter than me because she is no longer practicing. Nothing on this show today is legal advice. Should you seek legal or financial advice, consult an attorney directly. Nothing today is protected by an attorney-client privilege. So bear that in mind. This is purely for educational and entertainment purposes only. So I am here to talk about a very close and dear friend of mine who happens to be on page 22, as well as other pages of my book, Shit They Never Taught You in Law School, The Survival Guide to Navigating the Law, which is good for lawyers and non-lawyers alike. And if you did read the book, thank you. Go buy more copies, give them out as Christmas gifts and Hanukkah gifts and Kwanzaa gifts to your friends and family. But on page 22, I talk about one of the special people, Martha Alexander. So I am here with Martha Alexander today, who is a heart-centered energy healer, master exorcist, and a teacher of angel communication and spiritual cleanse practices. I've been working with Martha for 2 years, and I'll tell the backstory. And it's amazing, just clarity and focus. And everybody, I think, will go to Martha for something different, and everybody's experience will be different, but the same. Different meaning each one will work with her on an individual basis, and the same is that you walk out of there feeling, wow, that was awesome. So I met Martha when we were both on a seminar that was supposed to teach us how to increase coaching sales and do all this and do all that. And the only positive part of the entire program was getting to meet her. And when I met Martha, we started chatting, and then we took the chat offline. And then she told me about that she does podcasts. And I was like, oh my God, like I want to do podcasts. And I started doing podcasts on this network because of Martha. So some of you that are listening, about 1.5 years, 2 years ago, you would have been hearing Martha because she had a show. Martha has been such a staple in my life, and I appreciate everything she does. And she is a recovering attorney. Still has the law degree, still could practice if she wanted to, but is much smarter than the average bear and decided to do heart-centered energy healing. So Martha, without any further ado, please tell the audience in as many words or as few words as you want, what is heart-centered energy healing?
Well, thank you, Jason, and thank you for having me on your show and for that lovely introduction. And I will second Jason's. The only thing that came out of that, and it was like weeks. We were in this thing for weeks with homework. And the only thing that came out of it that was of any benefit to me was my friendship and relationship with Jason. So
I think it was like $27 or something.
Yeah.
And when I bailed on the program, the question was like, do you want the $27 back? And my response, I think, was like, no, you keep it. You obviously will need it more than I will.
Right. Anyway, thank you for the question. Thanks for having me on your show. I actually don't know that I'm smarter than the average bear because I'm not practicing attorney. There are people who it's absolutely their lane. You are a phenomenal attorney, and you are also a phenomenal coach for attorneys and for others. Your wisdom, your book is phenomenal. I enjoy it. I wish I had this book when I first started practicing. So what is heart-centered energy healing? What it means is, for me, what it means is, and it can have different meanings for different people. I work with Angels. That's my whole thing is based upon my communication with my angels, archangels, not you.
We work together, so I'm an angel.
My clients,
Archangel. I said it when you said archangel, so it's okay.
archangel,
So sorry.
yeah, you're not an archangel either, sunshine. I've never checked if you are.
Oh,
they
boy.
they do walk on earth. So I work with angels every day to do healing. So I don't actually put I used to do energy healing, right? You've done the fixed code with me. And I still do that with you. I am really focused on working with angels, listening to angel communication. And it is such a phenomenal experience to be able to communicate with your angels, to be able to talk to them, to be able to communicate with them in whatever way. It has truly changed my life. And it's really the angels who do the healing that I work on, right? It said, I'm an exorcist. I'm a master exorcist. That just means I can take really, really advanced stuff. And I will say that really is my jam. It's my space. I love working with the angels to do that.
So let's take a couple of steps back, and we'll go down memory lane a little bit.
Sure.
An intelligent person decides to go to college, goes to college, gets her 4-year degree, goes to law school, gets her law degree, practices law for
a couple of decades.
Enough time. So I guess, like, what was your, and we'll start back, what was your calling to go to law school? And then what was your calling to take you after law school and leave the practice? So let's start. Why'd you go to law school? Because if you're so into energy and healing and spiritual, it's usually not the path of law school. It's usually kind of
really not the path of law school. Well, I can remember the day outside in the quad. I was sitting at a round cement table. I went to USD and a law school, and we were sitting at a cement picnic table, right, round. And I can remember the moment it felt like my soul was sucked out while I was in law school. I can remember that moment when a part of me just said, yeah, no, I'm not sticking around for this journey. So why did I go to law school? Well, I was very good at what I did because I'm whatever I apply myself at, I choose to be good at it. I choose to give my all and my best to it. I went to law school because I have 3 older brothers. My mom was a psychologist and a teacher. My oldest brother became a chiropractor. My next brother was an engineer. My next brother was a doctor, and I didn't want to be anything they were. And really, that kind of left being a lawyer. And my maternal grandfather told me that I would never make it as a lawyer, which meant that I couldn't quit when I felt my soul leave. I had to stick with it and actually do it because he told me I couldn't. And he told me that my biological clock was ticking and I really needed to get married and have babies, which meant I couldn't do that either. So that in a nutshell, that's why I went to law school. I practiced it.
I went to law school because my cousin drove a Jaguar, and I turned to my mom and I'm like, Mom, what's that? What does Bruce drive? And she's like, what does Bruce do for a living? And she's like, he's a lawyer. I'm like, and he drives that car? I'm in. Like,
right. That's why I became a lawyer. There is a part of me, right? I loved Perry Mason as a kid. I loved Perry Mason. Perry Mason took a problem. I could justify going to law school. Perry Mason took someone who was not heard, misunderstood, whatever, and flipped the script to make it so that they were seen, heard, and vindicated, right? And I loved that fight for justice. I loved the thought of being on that. And that certainly helped me continue in what I was doing. But that wasn't the fight that I was supposed to be in. That wasn't really my lane. But I did it for decades. Successfully.
And what in your past life, what area of law did you practice?
So I practice mostly family law and estate planning.
which
Any
explains,
dysfunctional family thing.
yeah, I was going to say that explains why you wanted to get out of the law. I did family law for all of, I don't know, maybe 6 weeks, and it was like never again, never again.
I did it for
So,
a couple of decades.
yeah, so I get it. I get it. 110%. So you go to law school, you practice, in your words, for decades as a family law and trust and estates attorney. And then what? Just all of a sudden one day it went, this isn't for me anymore?
Oh
Or
no, I knew it wasn't for me for a very long time. I knew it wasn't for me for a very long time. We have 3 kids, and my middle son got sick. We didn't know what was going on, and actually we didn't get it correctly diagnosed until this year. But he was sick and home, and I couldn't run a practice and have him home and do all the doctor's stuff that I had to do. So I closed my shop up. Funny enough, I don't even know that you know this. I became a Mary Kay consultant because I needed something to do and I needed something outside of my zone. Wasn't very good at it because I don't care. I don't wear makeup. I don't care, right? I enjoyed the pampering of people, playing with people, doing the parties, but I never did the sale because I just didn't care, right? It wasn't about that for me. It was about the social. And it wasn't really, it took me a long time to find. I became a life coach, which was great. I mean, I use those skills still, and there's some energy, there is some healing aspects to that. I certainly needed to heal myself. Everything that I did from that moment on was about healing my journey and getting to the place where I could be now. So
and I love that, because people don't do that. They don't acknowledge it. I've been on a lot of planes over the past year, and I have the script down for, when the oxygen mask falls from the sky. Don't panic, don't think the plane is going to crash, but put it on yourself first, and then put it on children, elderly, people that need assistance. And why is that? Well, it's going to be exactly what you said. If you can't take care of you, then you are useless to take care of others.
yes.
And
Yes.
that's huge. And part of the problem is, and I'm guilty, this, I always forget to take care of me. Right? I'll be sitting here and it'll be 4 o'clock in the afternoon and my stomach's grumbling, like, and I'm like, what? Oh man, I only drank 2 bottles of water and had a breakfast bar today. That was it. So you got to remember to take care of yourself. So you explored and you did some healing for yourself. You are
For a couple of years.
life coach.
I'm a certified life coach. Certified life coach.
Okay. And then, so next step.
Oh my gosh, there were so many next steps. I'm a certified why practitioner. I'm a certified why practitioner, which just means discover who you are, what you're about, right? And so have I really used that? And I mean, I used it for me. I used it to understand my husband. Other than that, so much, not so much. But it was about understanding me. My kids all took it. I understand my kids a little bit better. So it was really about understanding pieces of who I am and why that's inherently me. What else did I did the fixed code, which you're very familiar with, right? Which I loved, which really helped me do some deep, deep healing. And then, man, I found out, someone told me that I was on the demon hit list. And I went, that sounds kind of right. That makes complete sense, right? Bad luck follows you. People say, wow, your life is chaotic. It's like, yeah, okay. And because I've never experienced anything but that. There were just so many aspects of it that hit me. So halfway through, when she finished clearing me, she's like, so just so you know, you have the gift of exorcism. And I said, and okay, that's lovely. Thank you. And she said, so your angels would like you to train for that. And I'm like, that is really interesting. Thank you. And with all due respect, and we all know what with all due respect means. We say it to the judge when we
Yep,
really
yep,
mean, don't be an
yep,
idiot. No,
yep.
right? With all due respect, no, thank you. I'm not doing it. And lo and behold, I started hearing my angels. And the first time I heard my angels, I don't know if you've heard this story. I was in my kitchen and I was making coffee on Monday. It was a Monday morning. And I do not know, Jason, why Monday morning coffee is so much more important than any other day of the week, right?
Oh, I can tell you why.
But I'm making my coffee and I get no more caffeine. And I went, who said that? And the dogs are there, but nobody else is in the kitchen. And I said, who said no more caffeine? Who would dare say that to me on a Monday morning, right? And I slammed my hands down really hard on the counter. And I said, I am not giving up my caffeine. And then I got another sign that I was supposed to give up caffeine. And then I met my mentor and she was like, your angels say that they have something they'd like you to give up, but you're not listening. And I said, so are you telling me it was my angels who told me I was supposed to give up caffeine? She says, oh yeah, that was them. And I went, oh, that is not cool. No. So we have a Keurig machine. And the next morning was a Wednesday morning. So on Monday, they said no. On Tuesday, I got my mentor telling me. And on Wednesday, I go to make my coffee. And as I'm sipping my first cup of coffee, I realized that I grabbed a decaf pod. That's what I made. And I went, oh, you were serious. Okay. I'll give up caffeine, right? But that was the first time I heard that message. And then I really started listening and really started hearing my angels in my head. They talk to me and I'm like, okay, that's great. And I've really followed. And so when they said, you need to do, you're going to become an exorcist, I said, I'll tell you what, I'll make a deal with you because, you know, Jason, as a lawyer, we horse trade. We make deals, right? Even with angels. I'm like, I'll make a deal with you. Greg has already really, my husband, they had already also told me that my husband was stressed about money and I needed to be able to scale back and make money as opposed to just spending it on my hobby business. And I said, okay, that's great. Here's what I want to do. You want me to take this training? You show me the money. As soon as you show me the money, I'll spend the money and I'll do it. Within 24 hours, I had 5 times that amount in my account from something that I didn't even know I had. And I went, oh. And so I told my husband, so this is what I said. This is what happened. And he said, so I guess you're taking the training? I said, I guess. I don't know. I said, I'll take the training, but I'm not going to do it. So I took the training and within within 2 months, right, I am able to, a month and a half, 2 months, something like that. I am able to actually exorcise demons. Well, ask the angels to exorcise demons. I don't do any of it. It's not Hollywood. Let's be honest. It's just not Hollywood. There's nobody crab walking on the ceiling with their head turned around. There's none of that going on. I ask the angels do it. I ask the angels, they do it. Anyway, Monday, like it was January 10th or 11th, I'm told, okay, you have permission by the divine to go ahead and start doing this. By the end of the week, I had 8 clients. And the 3 years before, doing other things, I had 1. It was you. I had 1 paying client, right? I had a couple people, right, who were paying, but really not very much. It was really like, this isn't your lane. By the end of the week, I had 8. And I have never been shy of clients since. So following that angel, right, really following their guidance, going into the lane that they should choose for me is where it is.
That's I've never heard that story before. It's mind-boggling. I mean, you've told me some stories, And they're not stories because it's truth. You've told me some scenarios, some situations, and it blows my mind. So what we're going to do is we're going to run for a quick commercial, which we'll be back very shortly. And then we're going to continue on the path of getting out of lawyering and getting into healing, which is the best way to describe it. So let's run for a quick commercial. Thank you to our sponsors. We'll be back in 30 seconds. Sit tight, and our cameras will be off, or I don't even know. But either way, we'll be here. We'll be here. We ain't going anywhere. See, I told you we are back quick.
That was fast.
I told you quick. You know,
that was fast.
So again, Jason Weiss, Martha Alexander, one who's still stuck practicing law, one who's much smarter and got out of the practice of law, and now she is into heart healing. We are both attorneys. Neither one of us are giving you any type of legal advice today. There is no attorney-client privilege, and this is purely for educational and entertainment value as well. So, and one of the things that Martha was just telling us about is how, she was able to really get permission to get out of the law and to go do something else. And she was basically pushed by a higher power to go ahead and do that. And it's amazing because, when we have sessions and we talk, I'm an open book. I tell you things, but at the same time, like, you can pinpoint things. You can go back to the root of the problem. You try to clear it up from the past. And that's awesome. So most of my problems stem from going to law school in 1997 and then starting to practice law in 2020. So that we figured that out, right? It didn't take a genius to figure that out. But what do you do with some of the naysayers or some of the people that are like, well, I can't believe you are a practicing attorney and now you're doing this kind of stuff. And I don't believe that it's this kind of stuff.
Right.
I think
no. So it's really my family, right? It's my brothers who are like, you spent money on an education, right? I mean, lots of money on an education, right? And all those years and all that time, you had a reputation, you had a phenomenal business going, and now you're doing what? What? Right? My answer is, it's all, everyone gets to choose their path. Here's the deal. That path didn't make me happy. I did it. I made money, right? Sure, it's cool to say I'm a lawyer, right? And there used to be a time, Jason, where I had to say, I am a retired or a recovering attorney and I'm an energy healer, right? I had to put the attorney piece in there. I don't even do that anymore. I don't even feel the need to say that I'm a recovering attorney. It isn't who I am anymore. I have the training, and the training is really, really helpful in what I do. It's not necessary, but it's helpful for what I do. So I really don't think that it's, I don't know. People don't bug me.
So I guess the question I have, and I don't want to know ages, but how long did you practice law?
Oh, I'm 63 years old. I graduated from law school. I'll just tell you in 1988. I practiced until 99.
Okay, so 11 years.
And then I went back and I stayed home to raise my kids. I went back in 2010 And I closed my office in about 2017, but I continued to take cases for a couple of years from home.
Okay,
Doing
so
planning and various things.
so between the two, you're 25 years-ish.
Around 20 to 25, yeah.
Right. So, and the point behind that is to let everybody who's listening know that if you went to law school and you've been practicing law, even like me, 24 years, 20 years, like Martha, whatever it is, you can still change. You can still do something different. The one thing that COVID has taught everybody is this side hustle, right? That's what everybody's talking about. Get a side hustle, get a hobby, get something else. Well, why can't your side hustle turn into your main hustle, right? There's and here's living proof of it, right? And it's not like she went from law to compliance to this. She went straight from law to energy healing, which is I understand they're both in the same category of helping people, but they're really not
vastly different ways.
Yeah.
I will say that as an attorney, as an estate planning attorney, one of the things that I did was I became a Reiki healer, right? A third degree Reiki healer. I went through the advanced training and whatever, because I wanted to have, my clients would come, divorce family law clients have some energy to them. That sometimes has some negativity to them. And I wanted to be able to do something to help that, right? With that. So I was practicing it before without even really realizing that I was practicing.
And where do you go? For hopefully some of the listeners are saying to themselves, like, that's really cool, energy healing and embracing guidance having to do with angels and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, where do I find out more? Or how did you, how did you figure that out? How did you, like, you talked about a mentor, and
Mm-hmm.
that means that someone taught you, showed you. So if somebody was interested,
Yeah.
of course, reaching out to you is the number one way.
Right.
But, what would you advise them?
So first I would advise meditating, right? You can start at home by meditating, grounding outside if you have snow, you're not going to ground outside. For Jason and I, Jason's in Florida, right? So Jason has sun, not snow. I'm in Southern California, so I have sun, not snow. So we have grass available to us more frequently, perhaps, or sand, depending upon where you are. But grounding, really, really steeping yourself in relaxing, breathing, meditating, those kinds of things. I actually have an online course because my angels told me to do it. And so I have an online course that is called Angels Guidance, Protection, and Support. It's Angels GPS, and it is on my website, courageous-heart.com. And under course library, and you can find it there. Right now it's on sale for Black Friday, just saying.
And it's on the screen, courageous-heart.com, and you can always find Martha D as in dog, Alexander at
D as in Davis.
Martha D as in David, Alexander at gmail.com. For Jason, the J as Joker. So no, courageous-heart.com to find out more, to see what's going on. Very active on Instagram, very active on LinkedIn. Real person who cares, and that's what it's all about, helping people in her own way, and helping people in way. Look, you said I have certain skills. I've honestly forgot which ones they are, but that I could assist, and it's I'm looking into it. I want to take some of these courses. I'm taking a course that you said to take next week, having to do with
manifesting.
Thank you, manifesting. I'm going to be taking that on Tuesday. Look, it's all about what you as a human being believe in, right? I've got all these different bracelets on my wrist, and one is, red to keep away the kinahara, that's a Jewish thing, and one is the eye, and one is this. So find something you believe in, like Martha did, and run with it. And sometimes you need that little push from the angel saying, give up caffeine. Now, are you still caffeine free? Good. Good. I think I've sent you some coffee, and I'll probably send you some more.
You have.
Yep.
So no, I am not caffeine free because I am creating a couple of other courses and a couple of other things, and Archangel Metatron kind of told me that I needed to evaluate my priorities. Priorities is kind of a key word for me right now. Priorities, right? I have to prioritize what I'm doing. And frequently my priorities need to be adjusted. Archangel Metatron. And so he started getting me up at 5:30 in the morning. So I am up at 5:30 every morning at my desk by 6, not this morning, but I had some other stuff interfering with my energy. What I want to say is angels aren't about one faith or another. Angels are universal, no matter what your faith, no matter what your culture, no matter what it is. Right? There are angels that are yours. Everyone has their own angelic team that is just waiting for you to ask them to help you. You have to ask. They can't intercede in your life. They can't do things you don't want. You have to ask them to help you, and they are there to do that. They're waiting for you to ask them. So no matter what your faith, what your spirituality, whether you're atheist, agnostic, it doesn't matter. You still have angels. It's not about what necessarily you believe. It's about what's there.
And it's also, I think the key word for me was ask, right? So many things in life we're afraid to ask. Did I get the job? Did I make it to the next round? Can you help me? Can you, I know you're busy, but would you mind reading this over for me? Like, I feel deep down inside as human beings, we like to help. And sometimes, if you're like me, you offer the help, but sometimes you don't. And, people just can't read your mind and think that you're offering to help. So why don't they use that 3-letter word, ask? Ask Jason Weiss. Ask for help. Ask your angels. Ask your mom. Ask your dad. Ask your spouse. Ask your kids. Ask your dog, your cat, whatever it is. Don't be afraid to ask. And that's the huge part, right? Don't be afraid to ask. Look, I talk to my grandfather all the time. I talk to my dad all the time. Based on something that you and I talked about, I was able to send my dad a letter on Halloween. And I'm guessing he read it. He hasn't given me a sign yet that he did read it.
Here's your sign. Your dad read your letter.
Thank you. So I don't want to give away a trade secret. But if you would explain to the audience what we did, that's cool.
Sure. So on All Hallows Eve, so Halloween, right? That's what we call it. We dress up. It's an old, ancient Celtic tradition. And they realized the veil is thinner between the human realm and the spirit realm. And so it's the thinnest, the 10:31 to 11:1, that it's really at its thinnest, and then it starts to firm up again, starts to grow again. It's not instant, so you could probably still do the letter. But one of the things I told Jason is, this is a time to honor your ancestors. It's a time that you can communicate with your ancestors more. It's certainly easier if you're not used to communicating with them and hearing messages or sending messages to them. And one of the easiest ways to do it is to write something and burn it. And it is, I've done that for years. It's just a way to communicate. Now I'm a psychic medium as well. So I spend time just communicating, just getting messages and talking to people.
So for me, Halloween was a double whammy when it comes to that, because A, it allowed me to talk to my dad. I wrote him a letter. B, I burned that letter. And C, for this year, it was the first year anniversary of his passing. He passed on Halloween 2023. So I wrote him a letter. And now thinking back, I do think he responded, because that same day and the next day I got to spend time with my mom, and mom and I really got to talk. And we got to talk about my dad, and we got to talk about, things that he did and didn't do, and where she is in her life. And I think he gave her the permission to make herself happy. And she's taking steps to doing that. And I'm proud of her. This was the roughest thing she's ever faced in her life. And she's a trooper, and she's doing great. She's doing great. And I doubt she's listening, because she's volunteering at a school right now, but very proud of my mother. And it's awesome for a son to be able to say that. It's I know I've heard her say she's proud of me, and thank you, but I'm proud of her. She's doing great. And I'm so thankful that you gave me the opportunity to learn about how to communicate with Pops. And it was great. And I wrote him a letter, and I cried during it. I cried after it. I cried when I told my wife that I wrote the letter, everything. But my whole point for that little was A, to support and show that I believe, but B, that everybody needs to believe in something, right? You could believe in, whatever your theory is about God, whether or not, he, she is out there, what it is. But there's always some higher power. There's always something that we can believe in. And I think just believing in something helps us all get by, right? I wanted to sell a house, and the market was bad. So we got the St. Joseph's statue, and it says to bury St. Joseph upside down, facing the property. And I did. We sold the house within 30 days. I'm like, holy cow. And when I needed to sell my next house, did the same thing, and it worked. So believe in something, and don't let anybody convince you otherwise. And that's something you and I talked about last night, right?
It is.
Not getting into politics, not getting into whatever. But if you want to say to me, hey, I'd like to tell you a little bit about Judaism, and I say, that sounds good, I'd be happy to listen. Cool. If they say, I'd like to tell you a little bit about Judaism, I say, no, thank you, not today. I'm not interested. And if they respect it, saying, no problem, thank you, that's awesome, right? We should all open up our eyes to things that we're curious about, things we want to know about, things that we didn't know about.
Yeah.
Where we collectively are in agreement is that we don't want it, thrown in our face, shoved down our throat, or to be beaten over the head with it, right? If you wanted to vote for candidate 1 because you thought that candidate 1 should be the next president of the United States, it's up to you, right? But if you want to vote for candidate 2, that's also up to you. Don't tell me why candidate 1 is better than 2, or 2 is better than 1, or 3 is better than them both. Respect my decision. Let me vote the way I want. Let me think the way I want, because it's not harming or hurting everybody. And that's one of the things that you support, you push, and not in a pushy way. It's, look, you're free to be you. Don't harm other people. Do what you think is best for you. And listen to your angels.
So one of the things that I wanted to tell you is another way to get confirmation of various things from angels is full body chills. And when you were talking about your dad read the letter, and I'm getting them again, and gave your mom permission, I got absolute full body chills. I got confirmation that is okay. Again, thank you.
I just got them
that
now.
is absolutely true.
I honestly just got them.
Yeah.
Like, my whole body is tingling.
Yeah, sometimes that is how you get messages, is when you say something, the truth of it vibrates through you in a real-time way.
Yeah.
So, and the other thing that I really want to share is gratitudes, right? You haven't gotten your book that I sent you yet, but having gratitude regardless of what you believe in, regardless of what you do, being grateful for what you have is what takes you to the next level of anything. You got to be grateful for what you've got.
You have to. You absolutely have to. So we're at the end. I can't believe we're at 40 minutes.
I know, right?
And I always save my toughest question for last. So I'm going to hit you with the toughest question. And I think I'm going to know the answer. But of course, excluding my book, Shit They Never Taught You in Law School, is there a book that you're either reading for the first time and think is incredible, or a book that you want to go back to and read again that you think, like it should be on everybody's read list?
Oh, that is a really easy answer for me. The book and this is the book I sent you, by the way. I sent this to Jason as a gift yesterday. The Magic. It's written by Rhonda Byrne, Byrne. Wanted to make sure I spelled it right. She also wrote The Secret. It is a phenomenally life-changing book. And
I read and watched The Secret.
I am highly recommending this, and that not just reading it, but it is a 28-day practice. And to do the practice, it will change your life. It will change it will change everything.
Well, yesterday Martha told me she's sending me a book, and I agreed, not knowing anything about it, that I will follow it. So I'm going to be up for a 28-day course, which is very, very cool.
You did agree without knowing.
I'm excited. Look, I trust you, so I'm not concerned. I'm very excited. So Martha's back on caffeine, so she's drinking my coffee. I don't remember. Were you a ground or were you a whole bean lady?
You sent me whole bean.
And you like the whole bean?
I did.
Okay. So, and if you want coffee, reach out to me. If you want to hear about healing your energy and sacred symbols and embracing angelic guidance and amazing mindset things, reach out to Martha. It's Martha, D as in Davis, Alexander @gmail.com. And we also have courageous-heart.com. Reach out to her, explore, listen, be open-minded, and you will be very thankful. Martha, thanks for being here. Thanks for showing all the attorneys that you could do something else with your life, not practice law. And just thank you for being you. And I can't wait to see you next week and to start my 28-day read.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
It was awesome.